what really predictions around the three big political parties? Ebrahim, you're obviously one of those on the hook.
Well, I'll simply refer you to a piece we did in the Mail and Guardian. They're all useless. And unfortunately, the prediction is that South Africans are going to be left with the dilemma that you've got to choose the least worst. That's where we are. Because just take each one by turn, okay? The ANC is completely fractured in fractures, in spite of Bobby's optimism about the leadership, and there are some ethical leaders in the ANC. But it's completely fractured. There's been pushback and fight back against Ramaphosa from every quarter that lost out in Nasrec. And they're either pushing back through regulation and regulatory instruments and regulatory bodies, or they're taking a naked fight ideologically inside the party. So when the Secretary General actually is moved to say, we will get the ANC back, well, back from who? And that's where our journalists fail to ask these questions. You're facing the guy. Stop calling him SG. Ask the guy, who do you want to take the ANC back from? So just as an indicator, right? That's one indicator. Take the EFF. The EFF, people believe, is a homogenous mess. They're not. In my view, I think they factionalized in three different ways. There's one portion which wants to go back to the ANC and is itching to do so. Yeah. There's a second which is taking a wait-and-see approach. What can we get where? What can we get best where? Since we're an academic institution, maybe I should throw out some theory. It's the rational actor who's trying to maximize reward and minimize risk.
Over what time period?
They're prepared to play 5 years. Okay, so that's the second portion of the EFF. The third is those genuine people who genuinely believe that this is some alternative political project. They're the dyed-in-the-wool ideologues. They believe this is real, they believe it's a genuine alternative project, and they're prepared to invest in it. But I think they're a small minority. They're not even the most vocal ones. The DA, leaderless, shot itself in the foot with the Patricia de Lille saga, is not quite sure whether they're a liberal or a social democratic party, have a massive identity crisis, and are inconsistent in how they apply their rules. That's quite simply where we're at. So if you want a prediction, well, this is part of prediction and a motivation. And it's a pity I'm not sitting in the center, because I think increasingly I'm more and more conservative in the old Tory sense, not the right-wing sense. But it's there's only one party which actually promotes stability in the in electoral horizons, you would call it short term if you think of 2 terms for a president. But that's if his party allows him to do that. There's a small caveat here, and that is that it is in Ramaphosa's interest. Not many people are going to like this, but if he can't deal with the factions in the party, externalize the cost of dealing with factions in the party by appealing to the IMF. It's something no one wants him to do because it undermines sovereignty and everything else. But if you want to do the nice stabilizing things that everyone's talking about here on my left, he has no other way of doing it inside the country unless he gets a mandate in 2019, which is strong enough for him to deal with the outliers in the ANC.
Now, I think we are moving very clumsily and very reluctantly into an age of coalition politics. And actually, I think this is very good, because the problems we're facing, here's the thing. I think in 5 years' time, the Aussie 40 is going to employ less people than they do now, because of the impact of changed technology. Jobs in the old sense are vanishing. A new pattern of economic activity and economic agency is needed. That means radical need thinking and very tough choices for the existing elite. And this is where you need actually a 70, 80, or 90% coalition working together. Now, the really controversial thing, and this, I can see him shaking his head before I even say it. You should wait. The coalition we need is actually a DA-ANC coalition. Now, we will very reluctantly get there, but actually, I think the ANC is going to, I think, do much worse than people predict. I think the DA is not going to do that brilliantly. I think that the EFS is not going to do that spectacularly. Now, when you actually put a coalition together on policy issues, on tough policy issues, you're going to need the best in the DA and the best in the ANC working together. And I think this will happen. Again, if you go back to the National Development Plan, which, by the way, is an agenda which got lots of good ideas and which was accepted by all of the parties in Parliament at the time that it was presented, that's what you need implemented. And for that, you need a kind of cross-party coalition. And we're not the only country in the world that needs that, by the way.